Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show that's all about speaking your truth, sharing your stories, and sparking the conversations that matter most. I'm your host, Rodney W. Collins, and this is the Speak On It Show. On this show, we dive deep into the thoughts, experiences, and ideas that shape our world. It's a place where voices are heard, perspectives are celebrated, and discussions are not just encouraged, but cherished. Whether it's culture, politics, personal growth, or just life's everyday adventures, we're here to explore it all. We've got engaging interviews, thought-provoking discussions, and sometimes we might even stir the pot a little bit. Speak On The Show is where we challenge the status quo, celebrate diversity, and engage in conversations that make us think, laugh, and grow. So get ready to be inspired, get ready to connect, and most importantly, get ready to speak your truth. Without further ado, let's jump into today's episode. It's time for the Speak On It Show with your host, Rodney W. Collins. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Rodney W. Collins, and this is the Speak On It Show. First and foremost, giving honor to the God who allows me to come at you in this manner on a weekly basis. How's everybody doing this morning? Hopefully you had a good week. Get to relax this weekend and hang out and do the things you catch up on some things here and there. So what we always do here. Ryan Hoodie, good morning, my brother. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. What we always do here on Speak On the Show, let's get these formalities out the way. You're listening and watching live, as I said last week on the 13th anniversary, live on the Rodney W. Collins channel on YouTube and Facebook every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, in the middle of the United States of America. I don't know all them numbers, the 2 hours, the 1 hour, whatever. But if you tuned in, I truly appreciate you. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific every Saturday morning here on the Rodney W. Collins channel, where we speak truth to power. We speak truth to power. Trent Branch, my brother, good morning. Good morning. Appreciate you. Where we speak truth to power. Now, last week, we celebrated 13 years of this. 13 years of the Speak On The Show, and I appreciate everybody tuning in, all the congratulations, the likes, those that came in after the fact. I appreciate you for just tuning in. Like I said last week, whether it's 1 day, 2 days, every day, those type things. I appreciate everyone who is showing support to me as I take this journey. Faye Jackson, my brother, appreciate you. Good morning. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, so last week we went over a couple things, went through the journey of the show and everything for the 13 years. But as I said, I want to thank everybody that's ever tuned in and everything. And I think I got a different perspective. On which way I want to go as we build on this thing. But You'll see some changes coming. So I just wanted to put that out there real quick. So today, I want to start off with this. You've heard me say this many times on this show, but I really want to start off with this because this week, Tuesday to be exact, I got a wake-up call. I ain't talking about the Negro wake-up call that I talk about that some of these people need. I'm talking about I got a wake-up call. And it's hard for me to talk about this, y'all, because I tell everybody, get yourself together, do what you're supposed to do. Yeah, I got a wake-up call. Everybody knows what this is. I know some of y'all got the white coat syndrome when you go to the hospital and everything, but I got a wake-up call from my doctor. I ran some tests, my normal tests, blood tests, blood work, urine sample, all that kind of stuff. James Battle, good morning, my brother. Appreciate you. Jay Jackson, you misspelled confidence on your shirt. No, my brother. Listen, that is spelled correctly. Confidence. Be cool, be confident, be you. We'll get into that another conversation, but as always, why are you looking for things, bro? Let me get back to where I was going, because he trying to take me off track now. So I got a wake-up call. Oh, I got a wake-up call. Don't get up. Don't everybody get excited. It wasn't a bad wake-up call, but it was a wake-up call that could become bad if I don't get my stuff together. So how I come on here and I talk to y'all and I say, hey, make sure you get your checkups, make sure you get your checkups. Had some blood tests done and everything. And it was a wake-up call, but I was already awake. And I'll tell you why I was already awake. Because after I did the test, through the VA, you can pull up your records and you can see what your test results come out to and everything. And I don't know all the gibbery jangers, but I know how to research. So I put in where it said I was low on some things, whether it said I was high on some things, and pulled it up. And the one that she started with off the top, my A1C levels, y'all. Everybody listening, I think y'all know what A1C levels is, and someone jokingly said diabetes. Diabetes. Yeah, my sugar was a little high. Not to the extreme that she was concerned, medication, but she told me I need to bring it down. So, but the day prior, when I pulled up the results on my own and I was looking and I seen the results, I already knew. And I could equate it to exactly why my levels were where they were. Because for anybody that knows me, I love me some sweets. I love some ice cream, which I don't eat as much anymore. I love some cookies. I love some cakes. And I love me some white chocolate. Don't judge me. I like white chocolate. I eat dark chocolate as well, but the white chocolate, specifically the Hershey's Hershey's cookies and cream, little mini candy bars. Don't judge me. I'm just telling you what it is. And I seen the numbers and I looked back on the things I was doing. I said, yeah, I got to get myself together. So I'm bringing this to y'all's attention this morning to let you know. When I come on here and I talk about these things, I don't talk about these things like I'm immune from these things. I come on here and talk about these things because I want you to be aware, but I want you to also know that I'm not immune from the fact of when I go get my checkups that there may be some changes that I need to make in my lifestyle as well. So I want to put that out there, but I really want to encourage the fact of make sure you're getting your checkups. Make sure you're asking the right questions. Make sure ask the question if you have the ability to go in and pull your results off of their website or off in your records to actually go back and research them yourselves to get a better understanding of exactly what these things mean. Because, they can tell you A1C levels, your hemoglobin, all these different things. But a lot of times we don't understand it and how it's affecting our bodies. So if you have the opportunity, and I won't say if you have the opportunity, make time to get with your doctor, your next appointment, and find out if they have a place where you can look at your records after the fact so you can get a better understanding of everything rather than getting it from them. You can do the research yourself and know exactly what you do. I mean, I done went in, started searching and coming up with a workout plan because, I got to get back on track with that. And all that, so there's certain times where we take those lapses, which is not saying it's a bad thing. But when we get that wake-up call when we come out of those lapses that we've taken, we need to do the right thing to make sure we get back on track. So I wanted to bring that up this morning first thing because it was a wake-up call, but not a wake-up call to the extent that I waited so long that it's not just you're a little high to being way high. So make sure you're getting your checkups. I'm going to continue to preach that on this show. I'm going to continue to preach that to my people. Get your checks. If cancer runs in your family, get your checks. If diabetes runs in your family, get your checks. If it doesn't run in your family, get your checks. Get your checkups annually. And if something doesn't feel right, go at that time. Go at that time because it's better to know than to not know. Because, you get that pain and you're like, it'll go away. I've had this pain before, but it doesn't go away. You just learn to deal with it. And then eventually when you do go to get it checked, if you'd went a little earlier, you probably could have prevented the status of what it is now. So just wanted to put that out there. But I got a good one for y'all today, man. I want to get into some things. Just to touch on some things. And this is going to be one of them shows. I'm just going to say this is going to be one of them shows because today I'm pro-black. No, I'm just going to say it. I'm pro-black today. That don't make me anti-white. I'm pro-black today. So we're going to talk about some things in our community, things that are being said towards our community and things like that. But I want to get into that because I'm not even going to get into the news in the news or anything like that today because I want to get into specifically what I want to talk about. Okay, so let's get into this. Terrence Collins, good morning, my brother. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you. John Chaney, very important subject. Yes, it is, bro. Yes, it is. And I see you on your grind, bro. Shout out John Chaney. I see he's on his grind. You know, he's on his trip, on the elliptical, the treadmill, doing his thing. He's putting it out there for everybody to see. And that's one thing that I think a lot of people, if you want to be held accountable, do what you see others do, as well as John Chaney. Post your progress. Post the things that you're doing, because when you're posting and then people don't see you posting anymore, they think you fell off. So it's an accountability thing that now that people watching, you got to continue doing what you're doing. You got to continue doing what you're doing. So John Chaney, I appreciate it, bro. Keep doing what you're doing, because, I got to get back on my grind. I don't know if I'm going to start posting or not. Y'all see the results when I come on here on Saturday mornings. I won't do a show without no shirt on, but you're going to see the results. You'll see the results. So, I ain't coming on here without no shirt. We not doing that. We not doing that. So we're going to go ahead and do this, and then when I come back, we're going to get into this. Let's go. Only the warrior who has faced battle truly knows its cost. Yet it's the spectators who shout the loudest. Everybody's got something to say about your life, but most of them, they've never fought your battles. They didn't feel the pressure. They didn't carry your fears. They weren't there when you almost broke, but didn't. So don't let their noise define you. Don't explain your scars to the unscarred. Respect your scars. They're not signs of weakness. They're receipts of your strength. You're not here for applause. You're here for alignment. Legacy isn't given, it's built. Own the journey. Embrace the power. Live the legacy. Lifegistics Coaching Solutions. Lifegistics Coaching Solutions. Lifegistics Coaching at gmail.com, lifegisticscoaching.com. That's the website, and that's the email. Reach out to me if you want to get involved. I'm also, just to give you an update, the Unmasked series that I'm working on, Unmasked, the weight we carry. I'm still working that, so that's going to be coming out. I'm trying to define it more, so we don't have no, just doing something. I want to have some results, what we're trying to focus on and all that. So stand by. It's coming. Lifegisticscoaching at gmail.com, lifegisticscoaching.com. All right. John Chaney in the lab now, watching the show. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Thomas Fawcett, my brother. Appreciate you, bro. Thanks for tuning in. Keep grinding, John. Yes, sir. And that's what we need. We need encouragement from the community when we're involved in these things. Sometimes one word can push you to another level, make you do that extra mile. Matter of fact, John, do an extra mile for me today, bro, because, as I said, I fell off. So let's get into this. I wasn't going to talk about news, but I did have one note wrote down that I want to talk about real quick. I seen in the news, our Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, whatever you want to call him, has called all generals around the world that serve in the United States military, no matter what branch, to come to Quantico. And these are flag officers, general officers, 2, 3, and 4 stars, I think, or something like that. I didn't read the whole article, but he wants them all in Quantico. One of the biggest things I seen was some people pushing back, saying if he bringing all the generals from the war areas and places that we're supporting and all this, and he's bringing them all here, isn't he making those places vulnerable by bringing them all here? And the fact that he's going to have them all at Quantico, and it's been announced how much security they're going to have to beef up down there for this meeting to happen. And then someone said this could have been done by email, because they haven't released what it's about or anything like that. But it's just, it just makes you wonder, what's the mindset? What's the mindset? For me, now I'm going to tell you, for me, Trent Branch, 100 top generals. There you go. Thank you, brother. I read it, but I didn't read it. I read it, but I ain't read it. 100 top generals. But the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, you want all these generals in one location that are serving all over. Is this a power type thing to show that, to say I'm in charge and I want to see you face to face or anything like that? Or is it so he can put a face to a name in order, because, they're talking about downsizing in the general ranks. So is it so he can put faces to names in order to know who he's relinquishing from duties when they get ready to do this? Just speculation. I'm not saying that's what it is, but it really makes you wonder. Really makes me wonder. Also, I seen another article, and I remember I've talked to you guys, and I brought it up about how if you're in the military, you got a shaving waiver, you can't have a beard anymore. You have to keep it, you got to be clean shaven now. That's what they're going to know. If you got a shaving waiver, if you have it over a year, they're going to put you out. Cut and dry, that's the new thing. But I seen this article that said a Marine unit in California, 29 Palms, California, a colonel down there that's over top of the base, he said he gave a mass shave order where all the Marines not only had to shave, but told them they had to cut the mustaches off because none of them were being worn in the manner that they are by the regulation. So he was going above and beyond what the regulation says because he didn't feel they were meeting the requirements. So he told them they all had to shave off, but quickly they had to change it because he's not authorized to do that. You can't do that. That's just, while they're worrying about telling people to shave off their mustaches, nobody's addressing the fact of how racist it is that they're telling black men in the military that if you can't shave with a razor consistently and on a normal basis, your career is over. So then it goes to the point of what about the ones that are trying to enlist to make this a career? They won't even be able to get in. What are they doing? I'll let y'all figure that out amongst yourselves. What are we doing? What are we doing? But let me get into this real quick. So this is my pro-black day. I'm just gonna bring it up. Pro-black, not anti-white. I don't need to say that, but I'm gonna say it for the people in the cheap seats that might, you know what I'm saying. It's coming. Yeah, it's coming. I know it's coming. And I'm gonna start off with this question here. What is the obsession with degrading black women? And I don't ask this facetiously. I really have this question in my mind because it's not something that just came up this week, but it intensified this week. What is the obsession with the degradation, I guess is the word. I don't use nothing. I say degrading, but degradation, the minimalization of black women, accomplished black women. Now, I'm not saying that this doesn't trickle down to the everyday woman in the world who may be accomplished in her own right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But what is it with the degradation of black women in this society at this time with certain people? Because I seen three instances this week where Laura Loomer, well, let's start with the person that sits in that house up there, said that Jasmine Crockett, again, attacking her, was a very low IQ person. That was number one. He brought that up. Then he talked about Ilhan Omar and said he asked the head of Somalia if he would take her back because we don't want her. This is the person sitting in the Oval Office. But at the same time, when you talk about this person that was on the live a couple of weeks ago, they tell you bring the rhetoric down. We need to bring the rhetoric down because it's coming from that side and so forth, so on and so forth. But these are the things that are being said that nobody wants to talk about, nobody wants to address. Why? Because they're scared of it. Why? I don't know. I just don't know. So, Laura Loomer, and I'm going to caveat here about Laura Loomer for a minute. Because, I'm not one to put pictures up of nobody. I'm not one to denigrate anyone's looks. You can look for yourself, Laura Loomer, Laura, Loomer, Laura Loomer. She said, and I want to make sure I read this correctly. It says, Trump ally Laura Loomer attacks Representative Jasmine Crockett in racist, sexist rant. And she said, Jasmine Crockett should be working at KFC. One of the most qualified people that sits in the House of Representatives. One of the most articulate people up there who articulate exactly the points they want to make about what's wrong and uses facts. should be working at KFC. So now I want to step back for a minute and let's take Jasmine Crockett out of this. Let's take Jasmine Crockett out of this for a minute. And think about what she's saying about the people who work at KFC. Are they not worthy? Are they not educated? Are they not worthy of being citizens in this society because they work at KFC? What are you actually saying? See, these are the things that when this person was unalive said these type things, everybody said it was taken out of context. But then when you talk about her and what she's saying, nothing she says is taken out of context because they stand behind what she says. She also said, she called her a black bee, a ghetto black bee. She said, it hurts my heart that we have ghetto black bees who hate America serving in Congress. It hurts my heart that we have ghetto black bees who hate America serving in Congress. And no one on either side I heard come to the defense of Jasmine Crockett in these attacks. Nobody. Megyn Kelly went after Jemele Hill for defending Jasmine Crockett and she told Jemele Hill is a reporter, used to be on ESPN. She still does some things, and I think with the Griot and other places. And we all know who Megyn Kelly was, who talked about the blackface and they fired her and all these different things. But anyway, also doing Charlie Kirk's show now in certain places. But she said Jemele Hill was an ugly person inside and out. She talked about her looks. So these are just one-offs of the things that we see going on when we talk about the obsession of degrading black women. And I got a whole list of them I can name, but I'm going to get some of these comments in here. Raymond Hunter, good morning, my brother. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Trent Branch, it starts at the top. Yes, it does. Twofold, misogyny and racism. Yes. John Chaney, some men of all nationalities, age, etc., are not comfortable enough in their manhood to handle strong women. They feel threatened and resort to childish insults. Yes. The women are just jealous. Yes. And you know, you make a good point here, and I want to touch on this for a minute. Some men of all nationalities, age, etc., are not comfortable enough in their manhood to handle strong women. We have this problem in our community. Now, I'm not going to shy away from this today. No. We're going to talk about this in the context of what it is and what it really means. When we talk about people degrading our women, we can't overlook the fact that we have people that look like me degrading our women on a daily basis as well. The only reason I'm bringing them up is because we're in this climate now of the degradation of a lot of things, of where people are saying this is not being said, or this wasn't said and this wasn't said. They specifically said and meant what they said because they doubled down on what they said. So I want to say this before I get into this. Now, we can be mad at those that are attacking Jasmine Crockett, Laura Loomer, but we also got to be mad at the ones that are attacking our sisters in our own communities on a daily basis. We can't excuse it just because it's coming from someone else that may not look like us. If we're doing it and we're accepting it and we're overlooking it, we got to get better as well. But when you get into this aspect of saying low IQ and all this stuff, what are you actually saying? Or she should be working at KFC. What are you saying? What are you minimizing them to? Roy Rogers, good morning, big dog. Roy Rogers, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. So that's where I'm at with this, because I think about the rap music from back in the day, the B word, the H word, all those different things that we used to sing along to and everything. But as you grow and you evolve, you realize, whoa, wait a minute. I can't be singing these songs no more because I got a mother. I got grandmothers. I got aunts. I got sisters. I got nieces. If you're talking about one, you're talking about all. Let's just be real. And you can't say, oh, I'm talking about her because of this. I'm talking, no. We got to get better in our own community with this as well. I can get on here and tell you about how they talked about Jasmine Crockett, Jemele Hill, Maxine Waters, Michelle Obama, Serena Williams, Whoopi Goldberg, Letitia James, Joy Reid, Angel Reese, Agent Wilson. I can talk about all of them. But at the same time, I can talk about what they said from the other side, or people that didn't look like them said about them. but also got to hold us accountable in our community for what we said about our black women also. We can't overlook the fact that sometimes we got to check ourselves before we start checking other folk. Now, I understand 2 wrongs don't make a right. But damn it, when we going to get right? And I don't want people to think, and I'm going to say this again, I don't want people to think that I'm holier than thou, that I ain't never slipped up and called somebody out their name at a certain time because of my attitude and everything like that. But as John Chaney said last week, a man who views the world at 50 the same way he did at 20, no. So we have to look at this in the big scope of things, and we can't just pinpoint it to a certain demographic of people that are doing this. Yes, they're highlighted more, but we got to get better with the fact of what we do in our own communities. And that's not making excuses for what they've said, because I'm not going to make excuses for what our own community has said. Not going to happen. Some forget some of our first authority figures outside the home were female teachers. They even used corporal punishment. Yeah, they used to beat that butt. Yeah, for sure. But I just want to make sure that we understand when I report this, I'm not just looking from one side. And I'm not trying to pacify anybody to say, well, they called them out, so why are you bringing us up? Because it's all inclusive. I don't care who says it. If we're degrading our black women, no matter who it is, it's wrong. It's wrong. And I'm going to get into something a little later that's going to put this all in perspective for you. But I want to make sure that we're clear when we talk about this, because what I know to be true is when you see people that are in these positions that have a camera and a microphone, or a microphone gets put in front of them, and they decide to call someone out of their name as far as being low IQ, or they don't have the brain processing power for the positions they're in, and all these different things. They're not just talking about that one individual when they say this. They're trying to put it in a construct of this is what they think about everyone, unless you toe the line and don't go against what they say. This is the same thing in our community where we get the mindset where if a woman doesn't like me or doesn't like my advances towards her and everything, back in the day, and it probably still happens today, young folks, when you're young, you're like, oh, she just or she this, or you start making rumors up about her and all these different things. This is not something new. This is something that has been going on for years that we need to stop. And I also want to put this in here because what we need to understand through history, black women have been degraded through history. Through history. They were good enough to take care of your kids in the slave master's home, raise the kids, but they weren't good enough to stay in the home. They weren't good enough to eat the food. They weren't good enough to, I'm not going to go down that road, but you see where I'm going. They were good enough for you to rape and pillage out in the sheds, but they weren't good enough once they had the children of yours to be able to live in your house. This is deeply rooted when we talk about the degradation of the black women in this country. And to tell a woman sitting in the House of Representatives who was duly elected that she's low IQ, or to tell a woman that's sitting in a House of Representatives that you talk to the president of Somalia, where her roots are from, that they don't even want to take her back, or will you take her back? What are you saying? What are you exactly saying? Because for me, if these people are duly elected by their constituents in their districts, what are you upset about? Because they don't agree with the things you're doing? But rather than talk about the policies and the things that they're doing that you don't agree with, you do personal attacks. That tells me at that point, you don't have an argument to go against anything they said, because there must be some truth to what is being said when you start doing the personal attacks. That's the one thing that I always pay attention to. And when I bring up those names, all those names I mentioned that we know that are highlighted, I want to make this clear as well. Some of you black women listening today, some of you are listening after this, are being degraded at the same time. So it's not being overlooked of who you are, by me at least. And I'm pretty sure a lot in our community. But at the same time, we have to defend these women, our women, and I'm going to call them our women, because they're our mothers, our sisters, our aunts. I just named them all. But sometimes we turn a blind eye to the fact because it may be somebody that looks like us, or it may be one of their own sisters, degrading them in a way that because we don't say nothing, we're just as guilty. We got to get better. And we need to call, excuse me, Mom, bullshit when we see and hear bullshit. Stop shrinking in the moment. Stop shrinking in the moment. Be the voice for the voiceless. You know, they always tell you, if you see something, say something. They usually talk about that with terrorist acts or, you know, somebody doing something nefarious. Do the same thing with this. See something, hear something, say something. Stop shrinking in the moment. Stand up. Stand up. We got too many people shrinking in the moment where we should be voices for the voiceless. Raymond Hunter. Also, sensationalism is the visionary tactic from the right overlooking the police state, martial law, skirting the Constitution, personal enrichment, banana republic, third term elections. We're going to get into that another show, bro, because, yeah, that's a whole nother one. John Chaney, that's because a lot of people are scared to call him what he is, a full-blown white racist. I watched a video today of someone who has known Trump for years. And here's the thing, and I've said this before, John Chaney, and I appreciate the comment. I've said this before. I don't know. And I say it this way because I stand on this, and somebody can push back, and that's fine. But this is me, John Chaney. He said no blacks have ever been seen at Mar-a-Lago. Oh no, for sure. Why would I invite you to my house? I don't like you. But that's another conversation. But I always say this. I don't know a person's heart when they make these comments and things. Like, I can assume, but I don't know their heart. So I try. I say I try. I ain't saying I don't, but I try not to use the label of calling the individual with these views specifically a racist, because I don't know their heart. I don't know what they, ride with me now. I'm not giving them an excuse, but ride with me. What I do say, I won't call them a racist, but their actions, their views, and the things that they spew have racist tones involved in their views, in their tone, and in what they say. Because now it puts the onus on them to be able to show me or to tell me why they feel that what they said was not racist. Because I think we kind of gotta shift this a little bit, because we quick to say he's racist, and I'm not taking away from anybody. I mean, call it a hit dog will holler. Let's just be real. But at the same time, I always like to look at it in perspective of, okay, if you're saying to me that what he said or how he acts or what he's doing is not racist, show me any comparison to what we know is racist to show me that what they said or did is not racist. If you can give me something or show me something from what we know is racist and has been racism or discrimination in this country and around this world, if you can show me something tangible that shows what this person did, said, or otherwise did not have racist intent, then we can have a discussion. But until then, what they said and their actions show me that they have racist tendencies by what experiences I've had and experiences of people that look like me in this country have had and around the world. So I'm not excusing the fact that we don't have the right to call someone a racist. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I'm just telling you from my perspective. And if you can take that with you, you take it with you. That's up to you. John Chaney, God says you will know my people by their fruit. I appreciate your political correctness, but I call it like it is. No, it's not politically correct. I just look at it from a different viewpoint. Hey, that's it. And like you say, God says you will know my people by their fruit. I get it. I just look at it from a different perspective, only because, and I'll say it this way, only because for me and my views, I've been around the world, different countries, different locations, and served with different people from all over the United States of America. And I've met people, and I've said this example before. I met a guy from Montana who everybody thought, because he was from Montana and some of the ways he carried himself, thought he was racist per se. So I asked him, I said, hey man, you racist? You don't like black people? What's going on? He said, no, it's not that I don't like black people. He said, I've never been around black people. All I know about black people is what I've seen on TV. So I don't interact a lot because I don't know how to interact. So we kind of grew a certain type of friendship from this, because for me, it's kind of like understanding where the other person's coming from. Now, if he told me he was straight out racist, then the conversation wouldn't have went no further. Trust me. But the fact that he opened up and told me this, because of where he grew up in Montana and his experiences in Montana, I took into account that, wait a minute, maybe he's not racist. Maybe he just doesn't understand the dynamics of who we are as a people, understanding that we're just like you. Those are the ones that I'm talking about in specific terms when I say this. The other ones, yeah, you call them what you want. I mean, yeah, I've seen it. I know. I'm just talking about from the beginning, when you see somebody, you meet somebody, and we put this racist thing on them without understanding the background and everything. It's just like us. We expect people to understand and feel our experiences. We should do the other thing as well. However, and you'll hear me say it on all the time, just like you said about the fruit. If Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. And I do. And I do. The benefit of the doubt is given to those who may not know what we think they know. That's it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that, believe me, because I'm going to get into something else that really is going to open up the eyes of, and since we're here, let's go here. So I want to transition here. And John, this feeds into what you're saying. Stephen A. Smith. Now I'm going to talk about something from our side, per se. Stephen A. Smith calls for humanity at this time. He calls for humanity. He has sharply rebuked social media users reveling in the assassination of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. Underscoring the profound grief inflicted on Kirk's widow and young children, Smith, speaking from a platform of shared humanity, decried the dehumanizing rhetoric from some progressive circles and called for collective empathy transcending political divides. And there's a whole bunch of word salad. Let's just call it what it is. Let's just call it what it is. Raymond Hunter, at one time the racism was more overt. Now, since they created fog or specter racism, they deny it outright today and are trying to deny the racist past. Yeah, it happens. It happens in most places. And the bad thing is when the government's involved in it. When the government's involved in it, it's a whole nother level. It's a whole nother level. So he says, Smith opened his monologue with raw emotion, stating, if I sound different, now you all know how Stephen A. Smith, if I sound different, melancholy, sad, that's because I am. What's on my mind is the shooting that happened yesterday. So this is a little while ago in Utah. What a horrific thing to see. Smith transcended ideology in his plea, declaring, I don't care what his political beliefs were. I don't care what he felt. I care about the fact that a man was gunned down in front of two of his children who are 5 years of age or less. That he's dead at the age of 31, that his wife is a widow, that his children are fatherless because his ideas and his beliefs differ from somebody else, apparently. And then I'm going online, I'm seeing people celebrating it. Shame. Shame on you. Smith invoked the universal bond, saying, I don't care if you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, Jewish, Catholic, Christian. Sports reminds us all we're God's children. Sports reminds us all we're God's children. He lamented social fractures, adding, but we live in a world where a few people are making us scared to love, scared to greet our neighbors, and we can't just give lip service to tragedy like this and then move on 24 hours later like nothing happened. Something did happen. I know what problems exist in this country, but there are far more good people than bad, regardless of background. I'm here in Las Vegas. I see people smiling at me who don't look like me, showing me love, and I'm showing love right back. That's what humanity is supposed to look like. Now, this came from who I call and others call Screaming A. Smith. And he came out with all this passion, empathy, shame on the people who are degrading this person who was unalived and all these. I'm concerned about his children, his wife. Stop right there for a minute. Where was this person when he went after Kyrie Irving? Watch this now. when he went after Kyrie Irving, number one, for not taking the COVID vaccine and telling him he's a disgrace and the New Jersey Nets, Brooklyn Nets should fire him and cut him and all these different things, messing with his money because he didn't agree with the stance he took about taking the COVID vaccine when you had all kinds of other people around the world taking a stance against the COVID vaccine. But he chose to go after Kyrie Irving because of some rift they had before to attack him because of the COVID-19 vaccine, but he didn't take into account how it was affecting his wife, his children, his family. He didn't take that into account when he had this to say about Kyrie Irving. He didn't have this to take into account in this passion about, well, we need to be ashamed of ourselves for attack. When he went after Kyrie Irving for reposting a poster about a documentary called Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America, he didn't have no compassion for his family when he attacked him about posting that and telling him he wasn't nothing. He wasn't worried about his family then. He wasn't worried about his children then. He wasn't worried about anything to do with Kyrie Irving when he had an opinion about Kyrie Irving posting something. But now he wants to come back and say, I'm concerned about this person's wife and this person's children. Let's go to another example. Just a prime example, since he says sports. How do you say it? Let me get it right, because I don't leave nothing out. Sports remind us all we're God's children. If it reminds us we're God's children, then why did you, Screaming A. Smith, decide to attack Kwame Brown, a 19-year-old young man straight out of high school in the NBA, and continually to call him a scrub, to take food out of his mouth and his pocket, watch this now, of his children, his mother, his family? You didn't care about them. So you can talk as much as you want about people that look like you, but then when you hear people talking about somebody that don't look like you, that you feel should be given the benefit of the doubt, you want us to have compassion. Come on, man. This is where, yeah. Let me get a comment, because I was about to say something I was supposed to. Stephen A. Smith is a paid tap dancer, profitable his way, and he'll dance for anybody paying. He has no credibility, and he's embarrassing himself. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And I wanted to bring this up because it leads into something else. Y'all got me riled up. Just when I read this, you probably see the steam coming out of my head, because I think he thinks we forget the attacks he has on these sports figures because he don't agree with them, or he's placating to a certain demographic, basically to say, yeah, they're athletes, but they shouldn't be getting that much money. They shouldn't be getting paid like that. But now that he got paid, he louder. Oh, he louder now. He got that $100 million contract. He loud, as we say. He loud. This is the same person that tried to denigrate LeBron James for having his son or helping his son become a Laker. This is the same person that got confronted by LeBron James and then went on his world tour through all these different stations talking about, well, he caught me off guard. If he wouldn't have caught me off guard, you wouldn't have done nothing. You'd have done the same thing you did that he caught you off guard if he'd have told you he wanted to talk to you. And then one of the things he always says is, they know where to find me. He found you. And you stood there like a kid being scolded by his father because you was out of line. So miss me with this thing about shame. He calls for humanity. Get out of here with that. Get out of here. And this is yeah. Did he ask for humanity? Did I hear him say anything about this situation right here? Let's just talk about this for a minute. Let's just go here for a minute, please. Can I go here? These two men here. Two black men wrongly accused in killing of a white woman get $150,000. Two men accused of killing a white woman that they didn't do get $150,000. Boston has agreed to a $150,000 settlement with Alan Swanson and Willie Bennett, two black men who were wrongly accused in the high-profile 1989 murder of Carol Stewart. The settlement provides $100,000 to Bennett and $50,000 to Swanson. It comes over 3 decades after the men were publicly targeted and their lives upended by a racist and flawed police investigation. Let me give you the facts of this. There was a fabricated story by Carol Stewart's husband, Charles Stewart. The case began in October 1989 when Charles Stewart, a white man, called 911 claiming him and his pregnant wife, Carol, had been shot by a black man during a carjacking. Carol died the following day, and their baby, delivered by C-section, died 17 days later. These two were arrested. Charles Stewart's fabricated story of a black assailant ignited a citywide manhunt that racially profiled and targeted black men. It was particularly in Boston's Mission Hill neighborhood. Police reportedly conducted widespread stop and frisk operations. The media fanned the flames of racial hysteria, portraying the case as a symbol of black on white crime. In the ensuing investigation, police focused on Alan Swanson, arresting him and holding him for 3 weeks. He was later released, but the spotlight then shifted to Willie Bennett. Charles Stewart identified Bennett. Watch this now. He identified Bennett in a police lineup, and Bennett was publicly named a suspect. Neither man was ever formally charged in the murder. The truth began to unravel months later when Charlie Stewart's own brother revealed that Charles had been the real killer. He had reportedly shot his wife to collect life insurance money. As police closed in on him, Charles Stewart committed suicide by jumping off the Tobin Bridge in Boston. Where's the compassion for them? Where's the humanity for what they went through? They were accused of something simply because they were black. They were run through the mill simply because this man said that they killed his wife when he did it his damn self. But I don't hear anybody talking about, oh, we need to show humanity. We need to show grace. You don't hear that when these situations come up. You hear me report on here all the time about black men being wrongly charged and convicted and sitting in jail for 30, 40 years. And then you got this fool sitting up on there talking about we need to look and show more humanity. What rock are you living under, and who is your platform placating to? Because it sure ain't the people that look like you. It sure ain't the people on the fields and the basketball courts. It ain't them, because you're trying to take money out of their pockets. But you're standing up for somebody that you may have known, but you have political leanings towards, that you're trying to draw those people in to you. Why? Because you're thinking about a political career moving forward. You're looking for a political career moving forward. But if you cared about humanity, this should have been one of the stories you started off with. This should have been one of the stories that you highlighted. When you talk about humanity and how people in this country still look at us as criminals, in spite of the fact that we may not even have done what they said we did. We may not even been in the area of what happened, but we're still put through the ringer of this system because there is no humanity when you talk about us. And I'm passionate about this because I'm tired of too many stories coming out, and then to see him tap dancing, as John Chaney said, around the fact of you'll stand up for him who was spewing racist bigotry and all these type things, but they say was taken out of context. You, Stephen A. Smith, Candace Owens, Jason Whitlock. I got a whole list of them I can go through, but it's not, I ain't got time to put them highlight today. But I never see them talk about these things. Why? Because these two people don't matter to them. They don't matter to them. They don't. They don't care about them because they only spew what they want to spew about the people that look like them when it's beneficial to them. Raymond Hunter, Stephen A. sits on the fence until they get tired of him and he gets his Negro wake-up call. I just said that to somebody yesterday. John Chaney, wow, that's a horrible story. It's on City Confidential. Horrible. He didn't want kids. All because he didn't want kids. But at the same time, thank you, John Chaney, for that segue. At the same time, this administration has overruled Roe versus Wade, where a woman has a choice. Not anymore. So now they went from the woman having a choice to this man making a choice for his wife to this country making a choice for all women. The apology was a rare admission of institutional racism. It was also a long overdue act of recognition for the harm inflicted upon the man in the community. While the $150,000 settlement cannot fully compensate for the decades of pain and injustice, it represents a tangible effort to make amends. For Alan Swanson, who has spoken about the case's impact on his life and his struggles with homelessness, the settlement is a step toward moving forward. Now, I usually don't hang on to the money, the monetary value of what they gave him. $150,000, $100,000 for one, $50,000 for one. But then you see these lawsuits that this administration is putting against big corporations for millions of dollars, and you're telling me for all the pain and anguish that they went through because this man decided to kill his wife and accused him of doing something, and he decided to take his own life, they get $100,000 and $50,000. That's it. And a thank you. And as they say, a rare admission of institutional racism. A rare admission. So I want to segue into this after that. We might go a little long today, y'all. I got a couple things I want to get off my chest. False acceptance, the cost of denying greatness. Not every threat to Black truth comes from outside. Some come from within. Something we always hear, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Some Black folks deny racism not out of ignorance, but out of calculation. They've learned that pretending to be accepted is easier than confronting the truth. They choose assimilation over authenticity. They perform neutrality to avoid conflict. Who are we talking about? Some of y'all know some of these people. John Cheney in May and June in 2025, the U.S. government under the Trump administration settled a wrongful death lawsuit with the family of January 6 rider Ashley Babbitt for nearly $5 million. And in conjunction, they also gave her full honor funeral. A full honors funeral for an insurrectionist who died at the hand of a police officer. Watch this now. Because she chose not to comply. Can we use that? Or is that only for people of a certain skin tone? She chose not to comply. Let's call it what it is. Stop. Don't come through that window. Don't come any further. Kept coming. And as I always say, I'm not saying anybody deserves to die. But you can't, you know, when I say that, you can't denigrate me because the other side decided to say, he deserved to die because of who he was as a person. What are we doing? What are they doing? Yeah. Acceptance without the truth is not freedom. It's a leash. It's a muzzle. It's a system saying, we'll tolerate you as long as you don't remind us who you are. And too many take that deal thinking it's progress. But proximity to whiteness is not power. It's camouflage. And camouflage doesn't change the terrain. It just hides you in it. Here's the irony. The very reason Black people are targeted is because of our brilliance, our rhythm, our resistance, our ability to create under pressure and innovate under oppression. To deny racism is to deny that brilliance. To pretend it doesn't exist is to erase the reason we were feared, copied, and commodified. You weren't born to be accepted. You were born to be undeniable. So when I talk about who we were just talking about, it just, yeah. Yeah. But I want to get into this real quick. Let's go. Straight talk. So I wanted to touch on this as well because it leads into what I've been talking about today. But I want to start it off, this straight talk, with this here. This great man here. He did a speech in 1962. I'll put this in perspective because I was born in 1966. So this is not long ago, 1962. And in that speech, he was talking to our people, black people to be specific when I say our people. And the question he has a couple questions. He says, who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? He wasn't doing a poem. That was pathology. A diagnosis of what happens when a system teaches you to mistrust your own reflection. And today, when some black folks say there's no racism, they're not rejecting oppression, they're recycling it. They're not rejecting oppression, they're recycling it. They're recycling it. And that's where the issue comes in. Once people show you who they are, we saw who they really are on January 6th. Yes, we did. Exactly. Let's be clear. Saying there's no racism in a country built on racial hierarchy isn't just inaccurate, it's dangerous. It's not clarity, it's whitewashing. It's the echo of curriculum designed to erase pain, sanitize history, and dilute truth for comfort. This denial isn't born from evidence, it's born from exhaustion, from survival, from centuries of being told that truth is too loud, too disruptive, too inconvenient. But here's the cost. It tells the next generation that their lived experience is imaginary. It tells the system that its violence has been forgiven. And it tells our ancestors that their suffering was a misunderstanding. That's not legacy. That's betrayal. So when we come across these folks that all skin folk ain't kinfolk, and you hear the vitriol they spew about their own people and things like that, you ask yourself, who taught you that? Where'd that come from? What are you doing? Because it's a slap in the face to all the people that have ever graced this country who fought and are still fighting for equality in this country. When you look at the people that I named before, I'm not going to name them again because I don't give them that highlight. When you think about them, ask yourself this question. How do they look in the mirror at themselves? Do they like what they see? And the reason I ask that is because of what he said in here. What Malcolm X said and what this said. It says, what happens when a system teaches you to mistrust your own reflection? That's like looking in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, for these people that spew these things or feel that they're not who they are, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? I'd just be curious, what do you see? Because if you look in the mirror and you see yourself, then you see everyone that looks like you, and you can understand the experiences that they experience in this country, whether it be the hand by one or many. But you choose to get outside of that mirror and say, there's no racism in this country. It befuddles my mind. I'm going to use that word today because it just came to my mind, befuddled. It befuddles my mind to think that I can look in the mirror and see who I truly am. But then when I get away from that mirror, I turn into somebody completely different, where I'm defending racism, or I'm spewing the fact that there is no racism, or I'm not saying out loud anything against my people, but anything I can say to highlight what I feel is wrong with my people, in the fact of saying he should take the COVID-19 test, and if not, they should suspend him or fire him or cut him, or this 19-year-old Kwame Brown, he's a scrub, he should have never been drafted, and all these things. But at the same time, I defend someone who says things like Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't a good man. I defend people that say things like, if I see a black pilot, I'm concerned, and then choose to throw out facts that are not true. But I want you to have humanity towards that opinion, but not for the people that I said should lose their money and lose their jobs because they took a stance like many other Americans did about the vaccine. But you wanted to pinpoint him. Now, he later on apologized, but the damage had already been done. Same thing with these guys that were accused of killing that man's wife. Him committing suicide didn't end it. Them saying that the system did them wrong didn't end it. So when I talk about in the beginning of this show, the denigration of black women, it feeds into all this. How do we feel about ourselves? How do we feel about our communities? How do we feel about each other? I'm sorry. Let's just look at it from a big scale. How do we feel about each other? One-on-one. Raymond Hunter, none of those folks are regarded prominently by the mainstream. In fact, they are detested. They are used to create lies and eventually disappear. Traders have a short shelf life. And I'm let me transition to something real quick. I'm glad you brought that up because there's a guy named Nick Fuentes who was a MAGA guy one time or whatever, and I think he kind of veered away. But at the same time, he called out Whitlock, Candace Owens, and told them people don't like you. Now, Nick Fuentes has been a loud MAGA, that type of guy. But he basically told them, he called them out the names. Some of the names that y'all guys use that I don't use, the one that starts with uncle, ends with something else, and one that starts with a sale, ends with something else. He called them all kinds of stuff. Because he told them, he said, I don't care what y'all saying. I don't care what you're doing. They're still not going to accept you. He said this to them out loud. Raymond Hunter, question. What should we expect from the Black Caucus? Why are they silent? The biggest problem right now with the Black Caucus, and I haven't read too much on it, but I've seen little snippets here and there. I think one of the biggest problems with the Black Caucus is right now, they don't have no direction. And the reason they don't have any direction is because, and I don't want to call them out, but I'm going to call them out today. As much as we celebrated Hakeem Jeffries, I think our celebration should have been held off. I'm just going to keep it a buck. Because Hakeem Jeffries does not have the fortitude. I'm just going to put it this way, in my opinion. He don't have the fortitude to fight the way the fight needs to be fought. And because of that, and the leadership we have up there, that's where the caucus is falling short, in my opinion. Now, somebody else may have a different opinion. But when it's all said and done, you're only as good. Like, we serve in the military, and we know this. You're only as good as your leader. You're only as good as the person that's put in charge of you with a direction and a purpose and exactly what you're trying to do. Now, some leaders are trash, and they may have a vision, but the vision is trash. Understood. But at this time, Hakeem Jeffries is not the person for the moment. And because he's not the person for the moment, the caucus is not prepared for the moment. I need to read more on it, but from what I know from the outside looking in, yeah, we're not ready for the moment. John Chan, he told them what the rest are really feeling. Oh yeah, Yeah, and they've always said it. They just ain't say it out loud. But he's choosing to tell them. He's like, hey, let me holler at you for a minute. Let me tell you something. John Chaney, he's weak. Yeah, okay. King Jeffries, he's not the person we need in this moment, in this time. I'll say it this way, and we all know this. Certain situations come that it goes with this book that I've been reading called The Man the Moment Demands by Jason Wilson. The man the moment demands. And at this time, King Jeffries is not the person that this moment demands. No how, no way. No how, no way. And I'm not saying we need somebody who's radical and loud radical, yes. Loud, boisterous. No, we need somebody up there that has direction, that has a focus on what we need to do. Because right now, from what I see, if you look at the political party as a whole, and we can just take the Congressional Black Caucus out of it, if we look at the Democratic Party as a whole, there is no direction, there is no purpose, there is no guidance on what the next move is. And because of that, it leads into everything else, to include the Congressional Black Caucus. Yeah. That's all I can give you on that. I'll try to read deeper into it. I apologize. I don't have everything on that, but yeah, it's ugly. The baby's ugly right now. So let's get into this, and we're gonna get it. Let's go. Mind, Body, and Soul. It's the year 2025. Yes, it is. We almost at the end, y'all. This year, we focusing on the 3 Ps: purpose, power, and possibility. With purpose, I align my action. With power, I claim my strength. And with possibility, I embrace the endless opportunities that life has to offer. So this is what we're doing, the 3 Ps: purpose, power, possibility. We'll dig into a little bit of this a little later on. I didn't want to get into it too deep today. But in the mind, body, and soul today, it's something. And you heard me say this before. It's something simple, but it's something that I think affects us in more ways than we understand. Well, let me put it this way. Hold on, we got another comment coming in. Let's get this comment. We need our own think tanks. Yes, we do. Yes, that's something that, yes. I got some ideas. Maybe we need to talk, but yeah, this is something we need, is our own think tanks. Rather than going on all these other platforms, we need to have our own think tank and address the specific things that impact us. I appreciate that. I'm sorry. I digress. I'm going to start with this. We hear it said many times, things happen for a reason and in a season. But I want you to think about this. Have you ever, and I think we're all guilty of it, so you can probably relate. Some of us, let me start with this. Some of us have stayed in a season too long for the wrong reasons. Some of us have stayed in the season too long for the wrong reasons. When summer comes, ooh, I can't wait till fall. It's hot. Fall comes, you're like, ooh, it's getting a little chilly out here. Then winter comes, you're like, ooh, I can't wait till spring. Spring comes, you got all the showers and everything. Ooh, I can't wait till summer. So it's a cycle. It's a cycle. We want one season, then we mad at that one, so we move to another season, everything. But when we talk about the seasons that happen in our lives, sometimes those seasons don't change because we stay in those seasons too long for the wrong reasons. And some of those reasons are we don't know how to leave. We don't know how to move on. Or we're in those seasons for the wrong reasons because we're more worried about hurting someone by letting them go and letting that season go and moving on. We don't know how. We don't know how. Some people hold on to relationships too long, and that's a season. Let's just be real. Some relationships are just seasons. But sometimes we don't look at them as seasons. We look at them as loyalty to a fault. Let's just put it that way. Loyalty to a fault. Because even though you're not happy, even though you know things ain't right in your relationship, you still stay. Because you're in that season, and sometimes you stay in that season because you don't even realize. You don't realize that season is over. You're staying there because it's comfortable. You're staying there because you don't see another reason to leave that season because your focus is I'm comfortable here and I don't want to change. I want to say it to you like this in the easiest way I can. Don't let loyalty become a leash. Don't let loyalty become a leash. Don't let nostalgia, just for example, nostalgia, dressed up to look new, mask the dysfunction in the season that you're in, that you've become comfortable in. See, I say this because I think there's a lot of people that at times what we do, we get in a spot. Let's just be honest about it. We get in a spot, or we get in a situation or a location or something or a season. And because that season has shown so much promise in the beginning, and because we've gained from it mentally, physically, emotionally, all those things, we get so comfortable in that season that when these other seasons show themselves, we don't recognize it. And we don't recognize it because we're thinking, no, it might be too hard. I might fail over there. It might not be the right move at this time. We start questioning ourselves because we're so comfortable in the season we don't realize the blossoming and the growth in this next season that's coming. It's just like when we look at the changing of the seasons. One of the biggest things we always looked at when I was a kid was, how much snow are we going to get this winter? Back in Frederick, Maryland. How much snow are we going to get? We didn't know. But the reason we looked for that was because we knew there was situations that would happen because of how much snow we got. Schools were closed. We could throw snowballs. We could make money shoveling snow off people's sidewalks. All the different things we looked at of the benefits of the snow in that season. But we overlooked the other parts of it, of how cold it's going to be, because it's cold. How cold it's going to be, how you got to snuggle up, and we walk to school. We got to walk to school in this cold. All the things that were negative, we overlooked for the fact of the good parts of that season. But now as you get older, you realize I can't stand winter. I don't like winter because I'm not a snow guy as I've gotten older. So when I look at that season, I'm like, when I want to go visit, when I want to come home, visit my mom and my family and Big Lee and all those people, I'm like, let me check this forecast before I start buying these tickets, because I don't know if I want to go into that season. See, I got choices now about what seasons I want to enter into when it comes to weather. But you got the same choices when you want to enter into seasons that you're unsure of in your life. Take the time to sit back, evaluate the season you're sitting in right now, and ask yourself, have I gotten comfortable, too comfortable, that this isn't a season anymore? This is comfortability. And because I'm so comfortable, I don't even see the other seasons that have come my way, because the wrong reason I'm staying here in this season, I can find somewhere else if I allow that other season to come upon me and look at it as growth rather than something that's going to be a challenge or something that's going to make me get out of my comfort zone. See, as I said in the beginning, we always hear people say, people come in your life for reasons and seasons. Well, it's the same thing about you in your life, just you as an individual, not the people coming in and out, but what about you? What are the reasons and the season that you're in right now? What is the reason that you choose to sit in that season right now? What is the reason that you don't see another season right now? Is it that you're scared? Is it that you don't know how to move to the next season? Are you worried about failing into the next season? These are all questions you got to ask yourself. But what I will tell you, just having that conversation with yourself, because, I like to talk to myself, so y'all pick that up too. Just talking to yourself about the season you're in and those that are around you in this season will expose a lot to tell you, and probably will highlight the fact that you've been sitting in this season for so long that you forgot there were other seasons in your life. See, sometimes we get so caught up in the word seasons that we think it's just dealing with weather. There's seasons that come and go in your life, and sometimes you don't even see them because you're so comfortable in the one you're in that the other one just passes you by. Think about that this weekend. Are you in your season too long? And are you in that season for the wrong reasons? Because what you'll find out also, while you're sitting in that season for too long, you lose sight of your purpose. You lose the push with your drive. You lose the will to do something different. Check your season and check the reason. Because you may be in a good season, but the reason you're there need to be eliminated. You may be holding on to somebody in that season for the wrong reason. That's why you can't move forward. Drop the dead weight. Move on. I appreciate everybody tuning in today. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up for today. I appreciate y'all, man. And 13 years of doing this, man. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for continually tuning in. Raymond Hunter, look forward to it. Yeah, we'll chop it up, bro. We'll swap information and get together. Thomas Fawcett, thanks for keeping it 100. I try my best, bro. I try my best. And, it's like I say, I don't expect everybody to agree with me 100% of the time. I don't expect everybody to receive the message I give. But I'm going to give you what I know. I'm going to give you my experiences, and I'm going to give you from my point of view. That's all I can do. I'm not going to put on no fakeisms. I'm not going to put on this facade like I'm holier than thou. As I mentioned in the beginning, I got health issues too, just like everybody else, and I need to get back on track. I got my struggles. But the one thing I do know about me. My confidence in myself, being cool, being confident, and being me in any situation keeps me grounded in everything I do. Keeps me grounded in everything I do. Take heed. Know who you are, and you don't have to put on an act, you don't have to put on a facade. Knowing who you are is one of the biggest breakthroughs you'll ever have in your life. Knowing who you are makes you walk with a whole different step pattern, head up, chest back. Yeah, and it feels good. Raymond Hunter, classic dilemma. The human race must evolve with necessary changes. However, we naturally go the path of least resistance. Yeah, that's the problem. The path of least resistance. Yep. John Chaney, great program. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Hope you got that workout in. I got to go do something today, but I'm going to eat some breakfast first. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. As I always say before I sign off, I'll be back again next week. Love yourself. Love one another. Keep your head up. And most definitely, keep your faith in God. He's never left you nor forsaked you. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And I'll be back next week. Holla at your boy. Peace.